everyone, it's Jan Denning here from the Hospitality Partnership. I hope everybody is really well. And today we'll have another chat with one of our amazing, incredible associate partners of the Hospitality Partnership. And today we are going to be talking about people. It's always a really good subject to talk about, isn't it? People. And we have an expert that will make sure that you have the right people doing the right jobs, doing the right responsibilities, they're in the right place, they are motivated, inspired, enjoying themselves, so then they are more productive for you. That sounds pretty incredible, isn't it? So all of that really comes under the umbrella of HR. And maybe you think the same as me, that isn't HR just about recruiting people, getting the contracts out, making sure that your business is all legal and above board and that you've ticked all the employee boxes? Isn't that just what HR is? Perhaps now we should move over to Susan Arslan, that is our specialist in this area, who can tell us a little bit more about, isn't this what HR is? So, Susan, hi.
Hi, Jan. Lovely to be here. Great to be on board. Thank you for that. Thank you for that introduction. You've made HR sound very sexy and exciting, which is great. Because quite often people do think that human resources is all the boring bits, the nuts and bolts, the keeping lists and paperwork and the files, keeping the files straight. But I'm here to tell you today that HR is more than that, because to do it well and to really get the best out of your people, as you've just described, it's really about making sure we invest in our people and we're proactive in our management strategies to ensure that we're really supporting people to get them engaged, to release that extra discretionary effort, that extra 10% that everybody's prepared to give if they're really on board with their organisation and feeling good about themselves at work.
And I guess the better that people feel about themselves, then, you know, the more that they will enjoy the job, and then that business gains with more productivity. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely right. I mean, I look at an important part of how we think about human resources beyond recruiting people well, as you've said, which is important to get your specifications right, to really think carefully about the job that you're wanting people to do, to make sure you're actually getting the right person in the right peg hole, as you said in your introduction. But once we've got the person, quite often our responsibility as leaders and management, we often think that's it. We just wheel them out to do their job. We expect them to know what they're doing. And we often forget that unless we're directing that work with people and unless we're really getting people onboarded well, doing a good induction, actually telling people what we want them to do, checking in with them regularly, that they're feeling okay about their work, that they understand what they have to do for us. I often use the analogy of it's like winding up a tin soldier and sending them off to walk. Well, if they're pointing towards the wall, they're still walking, but they're walking in the wrong direction. So I see human resources and human resource management very much as that empowering individuals to do the job that you want them to do, to ensure that they know that they're contributing well to the company's aims and objectives. And all that comes under the umbrella of human resources.
So how can you help then? I mean, you could write all that, you know, that you need to do this, this and this. So how can you help, you know, tell us how you do it?
Well, what I do is I work with leaders and management to first of all make sure that they understand their roles well, in a way that's not threatening and in a way that these people really see that engaging with that process and putting time aside to work like this in a strategic way with their teams is well worth the investment. And so working with employers and leaders and managers in that way can often be really fruitful, because they then start to realise that they invest in their people and then it actually makes their own lives easier. So if you're a manager and you're listening to this, think about how easy your life would be if all your team were fully functioning, doing the job you wanted them to do and delivering the results that you wanted them to deliver for your company. that would be great. And so really HR and HR management is all about achieving that. So I work with individuals on one-to-one briefs or in team briefs to just understand how they can actually manage their own staff well, whether that's by nipping problems in the bud, dealing with contracts, as you've mentioned, dealing with any dispute resolutions, dealing with conflict in the workplace, and then all the good stuff about how we reward people properly, how we engage with individuals, because it's all about feeling good and functioning well. And if the members of your team are feeling good about themselves and they're functioning well, then they're giving off that discretionary effort that we're always trying to release. So there's quite a lot to do really with a member of a team when they come on board, as well as directing them towards what they need to do their job well. There's all those checks and balances that come in the meantime as well. Are you having regular meaningful conversations? Do you feel confident to actually address a problem when it comes up? Are you on the lookout and are you taking note if your members of your team don't look to be performing well? Do you know about their home lives reasonably enough to be able to know if they've got issues outside work that are contributing to their performance on the job? So really what human resources do and what I do at Enable Potential is really I help you to enable the potential of people on your team and all those around you to make job performance well. And for those members of the team who aren't working well, for whatever reason, we work on strategies as well about helping people improve performance. And also, if you need to part company, really managing exit strategies well, because there is a dignified way to let people go that makes them feel good about themselves and makes you feel good that you've done everything you can and handled a situation properly.
And that, I think that's really important for that employee that might be leaving the business, but also for you. You want to do it properly and making sure that you've done everything that you can to follow all those steps, and nothing's going to come back and bite you in the bum later.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there's the legal side of handling things well, but there's also the dignity and there's the respect, because often people don't fail because they're deliberately going out of their way not to do their job well. Failure at work can be for any number of reasons, and there's often no shame in it. And in my experience, the individuals that I've worked with on their exit strategies, who've actually come to me and said, I'm not happy at work, we've done coaching, we've done mentoring, and they've decided through that process that really the best thing for them is to leave that employer, then there's a way for them to do that in a dignified way, that after they've gone through the hurdle of exiting an organisation, they feel actually more rewarded and better about themselves and in a better position mentally and psychologically to actually springboard onto their next challenge. And if you revisit people several months after they've left a difficult role in a job, you'll see that they'll say, it's the best thing I ever did. And it's getting managers and leaders and individuals to realise that at the time that they're in the bad situation, the spiral where it's not going well, to help enable them see that there is life after this job, there is life after this organisation, and to really enable people's potential to springboard into their next project.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, isn't it? I'm a great believer in that things happen for a reason. So as one door does close, it's closed so that you can take this other opportunity. And I love the name of your company, that it's Enable Potential, because it isn't just about, well, here's your contract, make sure that you've read it all and you know what's going on and you've done your induction. It's really about growing that person, and whether that's growing that person with that particular employer, which hopefully it is, because if all the recruitment process was right, I'm a great believer as well is that people fit businesses and businesses fit people.
Yeah.
You know, I know I've worked for one company, and a great company. This was years and years and years ago. And I hated it and I couldn't fit in, and I didn't know why, because I've always got on with all my colleagues, and it was just awful. And it was just square peg, round hole.
Yeah. And doing that, I mean, doing those initial stages, I mean, we all think we know about recruitment and selection. It's like, yeah, we put a job out, we interview some people, we get one in, but doing that well and worth investing some time. You know, we can do psychometric testing, we can actually help you to design work, to design jobs, to actually look at whether there's internal restructures that can happen, to move the deck chairs around with the people that you've already got. Because one of the most rewarding things you can do for an existing member of your team is to recognise their talent and to like recognise when they're ready to grow into a new role, and actually give them that stretch and give them that new opportunity to engage them. And then you see what you've got left to advertise as the job. Quite often companies just, somebody leaves and then they just send the job out and they re-advertise without thinking about restructure and how you can utilise the resources that you've already got internally within your company. And as you say, that's really important as well.
Yeah, and that leads me nicely on then to, because this is all about people, that you are a qualified psychotherapy coach too.
I am, yeah.
Help in your in the role, and what does that offer any businesses that you work with?
Well, being a psychotherapist as well as a coach means that I've got 360-degree offer, as it were. So when you're coaching with individuals, you're quite often looking at a situation that's here and now, and you're looking at the steps that you can take from a practical point of view to move forward, to resolve a challenge that you've got. If you're stuck in life, or if you've got a particular challenge, you're breaking it down and moving forward. But being a psychotherapist as well, it means that with certain clients, and with their permission, of course, we can actually take some step backwards, and we can look at the reason for why you might be getting stuck. If there are patterns in your life that mean that you find yourself in a familiar place, like I don't get on with people at work, I just don't feel as though I'm functioning well, we can actually look back and we can undo some of the limiting beliefs that people have, and I can have a look at what's happened in your life in the past to cause those blockages. So it means that I can sort of move forwards and move backwards and move. So I work on a very bespoke basis with clients, on an individual basis. I look at what their needs are, and then we work out a plan together of how we're going to approach it. Some people don't like to go there, Jan. They don't like that psychotherapy side of things and think like, oh, you're not analysing me and I don't want you to know what I'm thinking. And it's not about that. It's just helping people to unblock whatever situations might be holding them back, to enable them to fly and to move on.
And I think that that qualification that you have is a great benefit. It's a great benefit for that employee. I'd love it. I love anything like that anyway. But it also is good for the employer, because it shows them as a caring employer, for one thing.
Definitely.
Looking at the commercials of it, and I know that psychotherapy isn't all about commercials, but it will, once you like drill down into that employee that's struggling at that moment, they could be the best, most happy employee after this process. So then the employer has saved on more recruitment costs, going through inductions, going through more training, and has this brilliant, capable person. So it's well worth that, isn't it? And I think that's a unique string to your bow. I mean,
there aren't many people
HR managers and that.
Yeah, there aren't many people do what I do who have got like the therapy side of it as well. And I mean, as you say there, you reminded me just to point out as well that these kind of one-to-one interventions that we do with clients, especially senior managers and leaders, it can be a very lonely place, because who do you talk to? You feel like you've got that what we call the imposter syndrome. I don't know if you've heard of that, where people think like, I'm in this job, I'm supposed to know exactly what I'm doing. If I go and ask for help, they'll think I'm incompetent. And so having that kind of ability to be able to go and speak to a coach or a therapist or somebody like me in that space means that from an employment point of view, you are releasing the potential of that person and saving yourself all those recruitment costs if somebody's not working well, and just enabling that person to be happy. And we talk a lot at the moment, especially with where we are in 2021, about positive mental health at work. And it's all part of that. It's all really getting people to feel that feeling good and functioning well is critical to this.
Yeah, really is. And, we touched on this with another one of our partners, as you know, Gavin from Balancing Edges. But right now we really need to be aware and to use the coaching and psychotherapy that you can offer, because that imposter syndrome, and we've seen it across the hospitality partnership with, we've spoken to loads and loads of people in all different positions as well. And you think, oh, because they're like this senior manager, they're going to be okay because they know everything. And we've spoken to loads that have struggled, and we within the hospitality partnership have all struggled at some time or other.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Definitely.
um,
And
so,
I know from the work that I've done with the partnership already that there is a real need out there for senior leaders to want to have someone independent to talk to, and somebody who can like hold the process with them and let them realize that they're not on their own and it's really natural. I mean, in some cultures, people can't move without having a coach or a therapist. We're not like that in the UK, but I would like to think we could get a little bit closer to it, that there's no shame in having support. It really is there to help you to bring your best you, you know, to be your best you, because quite often people don't realize what they're capable of until they've got someone to support that actually gives them that confidence and that permission to be who they want to be. It's very powerful.
Yeah, and also it's about, we can't all be experts on everything. You know, so for example, a general manager in a hotel, they can't be an expert on HR and operations and, you know, food safety and health and well-being. You just can't be. You just can't be. And even if you were, you don't have the time to do that. So that's when you get an expert in like yourself, and you can manage that process for them, and they stay in control of exactly what they need, but you're actually delivering that, and they can.
Definitely, and that's really important, and I'm glad you've mentioned that, Jan, because this isn't about me coming in and taking over and saying, right, you need to do this, you need to do that, and do that, and making people feel like, oh my word, you know, I've now ended up with a lot more jobs to do than I had before. This is about me working with individuals to streamline what they're already doing and to help enable them to do things in a more measured way that gets better results from what they're actually delivering already. And Jan, you and I both know how difficult it is sometimes for people to put their hand up and ask for help. And this is about being able to say to people, you're right, Jan, not everybody can do everything, and neither should you try to do everything.
Yeah.
So take the weight off, do what you're good at doing, and let, you know, people like myself and the other partners in Hospitality Partnership take those bits of the work off you and do the legwork, really, to enable you to flourish and to do what you're best at and to what you enjoy doing most. This is why we've got this model where we can do parts of work and help you by doing individual projects to really support you to be freed up to do the parts that you enjoy.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's so flexible. So you just become that business's HR department, and whether that's for, you know, if it's a smaller company, they might only need you one day a week or 2 days a month, even, to make sure that the, you know, all the systems and processes and policies are all in place. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? They've got an expert, but they're only paying for the expertise as and when they need it, and that they can just relax that it's all done, and their teams and the senior managers and themselves are all being looked after and looked out for as well.
So we can do that. We can do the HR responsibilities, as you say, for like 1 day a week, might be 2 days a month, or we can do individual projects where you might just want someone to come in and help you recruit maybe to a more senior position, that you want some psychometric tests, you want to know where's the best place to look for your candidates, to help with screening, to help with interviewing, because people often don't realise that interviewing is a real skill to be able to really drill down and get the best out of the person that's in front of you, so that you know you've got, as best you can, you've got the best person for the job when they come in, and then just maybe some help with a plan of action for how you bring them on board with their induction, and then how you get that person up and running, and then your regular reviews, and just how to go about it. So we can help you do all that and save you the time of thinking it through yourselves and planning it out yourselves.
Yeah, and it's great to have that interview advice as well, because it's so important that it's fair. You know, it can't be just, oh, well, I really like that one, she was really chatty. You know, you've got to be able to mark this fairly. So if ever you're questioned or you're audited, you can actually say that person got the job because this was how the interview was weighted, and this is as a result of it. And that is key in this day and age. You need to be able to to really show that you've done it all properly and fairly.
And people are very much more willing to come forward and complain about interviews and say, I don't think I was treated fairly. And they'll take something that happened as part of the process and say, you know, that to me suggests that you had it against me from the word go, or something like that. And you'd be surprised, John, about how many companies do recruitment processes without any criteria, and they're left wide open. So, you know, and to us, it's like total common sense. And so we can help you and support all that because we've got experience in being able to know how to handle these processes and to make it easier for you, to keep you safe. And to make it something enjoyable, so that at the end of the day you can actually enjoy bringing somebody new on board rather than dreading it and seeing it as a drain on your time and your resource.
Yeah. And then of course, like with your help, you've got the right people, so you won't have to keep going through it time and time again anyway, will you?
Exactly.
Develop them while they're there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the game plan, and that's the goal for me when I work with a client, is to, you know, get it right first time, because the amount of money that you waste bringing the wrong person into the job, the amount of time you've got to give to allow them to try and succeed first of all, and then if you end up paying them off or you end up in a costly tribunal case, you do not want to go there. So getting that recruitment job right first time is very important. Both for the legal side of things, the time-saving side of things, and so that that individual can be effective as soon as possibly can be, and they're contributing to your bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the same as all of the hospitality partnership, I guess your perfect client is individuals, or it can be small independent groups of hotels or restaurants or wherever that might be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite happy to work with. We've got some, as you know, we've got certain groups that work in consortia, and I'm quite happy, you know, for a group of people to come together who want to improve their skills around this. I'm quite happy to do learning and development activity to get them geared up so that they feel more confident operating in this space. Similarly, I'm quite happy to do one-to-ones, actual project work. So the sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, and I know the answer to this, but I'll ask you just so that all the viewers can hear you as well. Would you be happy just to have a conversation with somebody and just an exploratory chat to see if what you can offer fits them, and is there any charge?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to have an exploratory conversation. Just bring a project, ask me what we would do, whether it's feasible or not, whether there is something that we could help with, and I'm quite happy to do exploratory conversations without charging for that. I see that as part of a project manager's responsibility anyway, so more than happy to have a chat with people.
Absolutely, and that we always encourage that anyway. I mean, what have you got to lose by a conversation? But you know, you've certainly got a lot to gain, and we encourage everybody to speak to myself and all of our partners just to find out, because you could gain so much. We know that how much you can gain. Yeah. Then Susan, so enable potential. Love the name because it's absolutely about enabling potential. We'll close it there. I know there's so much that we could talk about. It's always a challenge to get this into like 15-20 minutes maximum. But yes, so Susan Arslan is our HR, and I'm using HR just because that's what everybody knows, but it's so much more. So we'll close that there. Thank you so much, Susan. And
thank you for the opportunity, Jan. Thank you.